Good morning, Gap family. So excited to be here now after the Thanksgiving holiday. Hope that you had an amazing time with your family and loved ones. And I just want you to know I am super grateful and honored for each one of you that are here today. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Rebecca Soto, uh, here to co host today Gap Mastermind, where growth action and production are the heartbeat of everything that we do here. And I love that we meet at the same time each week because this rhythm, this consistency is what creates momentum. And guess what? Today is December 1st, and it is the very first day of our final month of the year. The finish line of 2025 is right in front of us. So I want to ask you something real. How will you finish this year? What will you choose to do with these last 31 days that can shift your business? So, right now in the chat, let me open up the chat so I can see it. What are you doing today to finish strong? If you already have an activity that you have scheduled for this month, drop it in the chat. Let us know what you're doing. It could help inspire someone else. And what one activity could you do this month that would create the biggest impact before the year closes? So I'm just curious. I don't see anything yet in the chat. This is an engaging classroom here, Zoom room, where I want to see see you guys share if you have any activities. I did see one of our partners is doing open houses all week long. And because she gives classes in her office, she's holding the classes at her open houses. Talk about commitment. So if you really think about it, before the holidays hit us, we really have a good solid 2 weeks. So if you guys are out of ideas here, because I don't see anything yet, maybe I don't know if it's my chat that's not working. You guys are a little quiet this morning. But to be honest, I mean, I don't know. I think open houses would be a really great way to get in front of some new people. I think also any last minute types of events, simple ones, they don't have to be super over the top. I had another partner who would do Santa meeting with Santa in the park, just a random park, any park, pick a park, set up in the pavilions if they have like the kind of parks that have, I guess, picnic pavilions, and set up your pavilion, have your Santa, have all the kids come out and just pictures with Santa, right? Have some holiday music and some really inexpensive things that you could do to just kind of bring holiday cheer to the community and get in front of some more people and do like letters to Santa, right? That's so easy and doable to do. So, anyways, I don't know, maybe nobody's doing anything. But this month, if you what you do today is going to impact next month, right? So get out there, get in front of some people, get your agenda full with some activities. Otherwise, you're going to have a slow start. So nobody wants a slow start to the year. So all right, so let's get our minds activated because we're not just ending 2025, we're positioning ourselves to dominate 2026. So, speaking of leveling up, we have somebody incredibly special with us today. She is EXP's Instructor of the Year, my personal friend and one of the sharpest minds in our industry, Michelle Martin. And before I pass it off to her, Michelle is somebody who I got to meet last year. I've known her for a whole year. And what I love the most about how we met is that she came, I met her at EXPCon, and she had come in just attending the event and she wanted to help. She just wanted to help. And she says, where can I roll up my sleeves and help? And so we were holding an event, our Havana Nights event, and she came and she just rolled up her sleeves, got to work. And then she's like, Rebecca, anything else that you guys can do? I mean, like anything else I could do for you, just plug me in. I want to help. And at the time, was in talks with Brian Ellington about creating a Spanish class for EXP, and so he had decided, you know what, we're gonna do FastCap in Espanol, and if you can help me work that out, if you know anyone that can be part of this, I would really love that. And so I thought of Michelle, who had already shown some interest and said, you know, told me all the things that she could do. And we plugged her in, and what an amazing year, because she didn't just help with Fast Cap en Espanol. She did Fast Cap in English, Fast Cap en Espanol, and then she's also part of Milnet. She wants to be part of EXP Latino. She's got her hands everywhere, and I love that. I love her heart. She has such an amazing heart, a giving heart, and I think of how else could we do something like that? Because sometimes we're waiting for an invitation to for somebody to say, hey, you know, we have something that, you know, or we need someone here. It really takes you stepping up and saying, this is what I can do, plug me in, you know. And so, Michelle, thank you so much for that. I'm so honored, that I'm so glad that you got that recognition, first of all, from EXP, so well deserved, and honored to have you here with us today to share with our Global Alliance family, to get some business planning for 2026. So gracias, amiga. Take it away.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. What an introduction. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right. So I have big shoes to fill, I guess now. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much. I am so glad to be here. And I love what you said, Rebecca. Guys, if you get anything from today at all, is like, if you want something, you need to open your mouth and ask for it. If you want your client to do business with you, what do you need to do? You need to open your mouth, call them, and ask for it, right? Like whatever in life that you want, ask. Because the worst that can happen is if someone says no. But guess what? I reached out to most of my sphere last week, and I've been doing this for years. It never fails. Either someone writes back right away, sometimes not, but it never fails. Someone eventually writes back and asks me about something about like I was thinking about listing my house, and oh, I'm so glad you reached out to me. Never fails. This time it took 2 days. Someone finally said, actually, if I sell my house, what do you know, like basically asking me like what the market was like. And I was like, so she's thinking about selling her house. That's all it takes, guys. That's it. Like just literally ask for it. And that was a like a happy Thanksgiving text that I sent to my whole sphere. Like, hey, and also remember me, I'm in real estate, love you guys. Like it was one of those texts. That's all it was. And she, it pinged something in her, right? Because you never know who's thinking about real estate and you want them to remember you when it's that time. So anyways, open your mouth if you want something, guys. Okay, let me get my screen share up because I've been known to do this without my screen shared for like the first 10 minutes, and it's funny, and I don't want to do that to you guys. Okay. Okay, you guys see that? Everybody sees it? Yay! Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So I want you guys also to know, actually, let me flip to the next screen. Go ahead and download this. This is the workbook. You're not going to be able to really like fill it out while I'm going because it's a lot of information. So I really want you to like be focused, right? But definitely download the workbook so you can have it for later. And I recommend having some nice quiet time to yourself, like, with a glass of wine and a candle, just, focus time, right? Like to really fill all of this out. So don't try to like do this in a hurry. This is not something you do in a hurry. This is something you really concentrate on and get really deep on. But I also want you guys to know that there's a million ways to skin a cat here, right? So if you've done any business planning sessions already this year or before, this one's going to be different. And if you do any coming up, which by the way, Veronica, I believe is doing one on Wednesday. So if you guys do any in the future, that's going to be different too. Over the years, I've just plugged and played different things that I've heard from different awesome people. And I've thought this is amazing. And that's the way my business planning has developed, right, guys? Like, it just is what it is. So this is my way, and you'll notice we're very mindset focused with this one. So you're going to be like, wow, Michelle, this is a lot of mindset stuff. Like we're not even getting into the numbers until the very end. That is true. That's exactly how this is going to shake out. So all right, let me if everybody if for some reason you missed it or you come in late, I will go back at the end to this QR code so you guys have the workbook. But I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Okay, so Rebecca already talked a little bit about me, so thank you. But for just in case if you guys missed it, I am Michelle Martin. And there's a big lengthy list of accomplishments on here, and I did that for two reasons. So reason number one is y'all, I've been there. I've done that. I've worked solo. I've had a team by myself. I've had a team with a partner. I've made a bunch of mistakes. I've hired people. I've fired people. Like I've done all the things. I've I've operated my business just like throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it sticks. I then started business planning and kind of, you never do anything right the first time, right? So you're always like doing something, then it breaks and you got to do it again or whatever. So I've been there, done that, right? But the second reason that I put that on here is because I want you guys to know that I'm super proud of all of the things that I've been able to do in my career. It's been almost 11 years. Next month it'll be 11 years. And but I'm not always proud of how I got there, right? There's always moments in my career, like there's moments in my career that I can remember. I'm like, man, I'm not proud of that. I, prioritized the wrong things here. I, was a miserable person for a while and everything like that. And it's not something that I wish upon anyone. And that's why my business planning session is so mindset focused and so organization focused because it saves you so much stress, you guys. And I'm sure as I go on, you guys are going to know, you guys are going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I totally get that. And for a long time, this stuff right here is what defined me. So if who am I? I am this, right? And it took my dad passing away in 2018 and then the subsequent COVID after that, just like in hindsight, it felt like it happened fast, but actually it was like a really slow process of discovering like, this ain't it. This stress, this like just working 60 hours a week, just the grind, right? Like you guys know what I'm talking about. That ain't it. It took something very serious like that to happen to me for me to realize I'm not going to do this anymore. I wasn't happy. I was overweight. I wasn't present with my family, and my kids at the time were like just starting elementary school. Um, my life literally revolved around my business. I was my business. And that's to me now, like I realize this, that's not okay. It isn't okay. It's not what I wanted to do. And so these things on the screen, they're what I do, right? But they're not who I am. This is like I'm not that's not who I am, right? And then so these things here are who I am. These are the things that mean the most to me. And for a while I forgot that because I was just so obsessed with being number one and doing the most and selling the most houses and making the most money. And if you would have asked me, well, why am I doing this? My answer would have been because I want, to kick everyone's butt. And I just want trophies and I just want to know that I could. And that's not enough. And it took that big serious thing happening for me to realize like, yep,
Glenn?
I can't live
So I
like
got
this
my
anymore.
backpacks. I
Okay.
got someone
So
who's gonna come pick it up.
please mute yourselves,
Oh,
guys.
okay.
I'm like a squirrel. I get easily distracted. Okay. So and guys, so or anyway, back to this. So this is who I really am, and I'm sure a lot of you guys relate to this too. Like your life does not need to revolve around your business. That's not it. You are someone's son or daughter. You may have kids. You have your parents. Like you have siblings, perhaps. You have friends. You have hobbies. Like those are the things that make you you. And when we make friends and when we connect with our clients, right? That's what we connect on, right? Like I was a military spouse for a little while there, and that was a huge connector point with a lot of my customers. Same thing with being Latina. And as soon as I notice someone's Latino, I'm like, right? So those are the things that make us who we are, and those are the things that make us special. I'm not special because I'm a realtor, guys. I'm not. And I let that define my life for the longest time, and I just don't wish that upon anyone. All right? So, I also want you guys, these are a couple of quotes that just like somebody told me, and I was like, whoa. And I put them on here because I want to share with you guys. So, when you're on your deathbed, what will you wish for? These is something I want you to have in your mind for the next hour and some change, okay? What will you wish for? How do you want to be remembered? And I'm sure it has nothing to do with commission or how many houses you sold. It doesn't. I promise. You guys are gonna think of a million other things, but it ain't that. It ain't that. And somebody else told me if my family doesn't know me, I have failed. There were so many moments when woke up on a Saturday morning and I was like, I gotta go showings all day, all day, all day, all day, open houses, come back at night. Then I sit in my office and I work, 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 work. My kids are over there playing, they're playing outside. I'm not there. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know what's going on. none of that was okay for me, guys. So when I hunkered down and realized my big why, which we'll talk about in a second, and I started actually planning my business, like everything changed. I was able to leverage, I was able to get organized, everything changed. So oh, Michelle, oh my God, you're going so deep. Like I was here, like I'm here to learn about numbers and stuff, but oh my God, you're going so deep and getting all emotional and stuff right after Thanksgiving. Yes, as you can see, we're going to talk a lot about like the inner workings, the mindset stuff, right? Then at the very end, we're going to talk about business and the models, right? But none of that matters unless you know why you're even getting up in the morning and going to work. None of it matters. I can tell you how to do numbers all day long. You'll sit there and put them in, calculate all the things and put them in the spreadsheet. But tomorrow you're going to be like, I don't wanna, right? We have to get in touch with our why and we have to get in touch with the reasons that we're doing things. So, whew, I'm gonna get a water break real quick because I'm gonna be talking so much. My big giant jug of water. Okay. So I also saw at that same EXP con that I met Rebecca, I also went to one of Renee's trainings. And he had this in his training, and I thought, I love this. I have to use it. So, and I might butcher it because he's just an amazing person and just an amazing speaker. But guys, I want to ask you, and I want you to put it in the chat because this is an interactive class, okay? And I'm looking at the chat on the side here. So I want you guys to define for me time. What is it? What is time? Put it in a sentence. Tell me what it is in your own words. Let's see what everybody says in the chat. It's going to be really deep. That's why you guys are taking a minute. There we go. The most limited resource we have, the hours we have in this life, something you can't get back. Priceless. Yep, I hear that one a lot. Precious. I also hear that one a lot. Most valuable asset we cannot get back. All of this is true, guys. All of this is true. Not really tangible, right? Isn't it hard to like put a definition on the thing? Because we're like describing it, like, but it's hard to really define it. It's just sort of something that exists, right? Like it's, I don't know. When he asked me that question, I'm like, huh? I'm like, of course I know what this is, but like, can I articulate it? Right? It's hard. So I want everybody to like those statements that you guys made and what you were thinking in your head. I want you to change the word time. And now I want you to replace that with the word life. Replace it. So life is precious. Life is priceless. Life is the now, the present. Life is something you can't get back. Right? It feels different now. It feels way, way different. Life is how you spend your days. It's what you give your energy to. It's who you share it with. And when you waste your time, you waste your life. Like, if you know me personally, I'm literally like, I'm always trying not to waste time. I'm like, let's go. We got to go places. We got to do this. Oh, we have a weekend where there's nothing going on. Let's make some plans. Let's go hang out with friends. Let's make some memories. Like, because I feel like if I'm wasting time, I'm wasting my literal, actual life, my life, right? Y'all ever seen that movie with, I think it was Justin Timberlake where they had like the time on the wrist and every time they had to go do something, like it would take minutes. Like they had a countdown clock on their wrist or something and it would take minutes. It's a very old movie, but that's what I think about when this happened. If someone knows the name of it, please drop it in the chat. Super old movie, but like anything that you do takes time literally off your life, and he had a clock and he would see it. The difference is that we don't see it, guys. We don't see how much time we have left, and that's why we have to make the most of it. Okay? So whenever we're talking about business planning today, I want you to know that we're not planning our business as so much as we're planning our days, our time, our life. We're planning our life, how our life looks like, because in order for us to have the life that we want, our business needs to be running smooth. Yeah. It all goes together. It all goes together. Okay. So this is my favorite slide if you guys know me, and Eli's not going to like it, but whatever. So I put Benito here on my slideshow because I love him so much. He is my favorite artist. But there's a point to this, guys. Okay, we all get the same 24 hours in each day. There's no exceptions. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Benito. I don't care if you're Beyonce. I don't care if you're Mark Anthony, whatever. I don't care. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. So why do some people seemingly get so much accomplished in their same 24 hours that we do? How is this possible? Right? And I believe it's because high achievers, they don't just use their time. They live their hours. They treat each minute like a piece of their life. Each minute is a piece of my life. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to do the most that I can. So when you see successful people here, like Benito or any other super successful agent, right? They're all over the place. We see them everywhere. You're like, how did they do this, right? it's they hyper focus. They focus on the things that they need to focus on. Everything else, they figure out a way to leverage it, or you know what, they just pay attention to the thing that matters most first, and then they worry about everything else. Because sometimes we just get stuck, right? We're just like trying to do everything. Guess what? We're not meant to do everything. We're meant to do the things that we are the best at. Okay, do you think that, I mean, think about famous actors, famous musicians, whatever. They have people to do all of those things, right? And you think, oh, obviously, Michelle, that's why they have so much time to be amazing and to be super rich and whatever. Yeah, but they didn't start that way. They didn't start that way. We all know this. All we see is the end result, the trophies and the awards and whatever, right? That's all we see. But we don't see that this person has been grinding, most likely. If you read any famous person's backstory, any successful agent's backstory, they have all been grinding for years and years before anybody even knew who they were. So why do we think it's different for us? Why do we think that we get to snap our fingers and suddenly we're amazing? No, it is work. It is energy, it is work, we have to put our time in, we have to put our life into something for a little while and learn and grow and make those mistakes before we can come out on the other side and see the result, right? So that brings me to this. Everybody's seen this, right? It's all over the internet. Okay, so that's exactly, this right here is exactly my analogy, exactly my point. Okay, we are going to need to be persistent. We're going to need to fail because that's how we learn. Yeah, we're going to have to make sacrifices. We're going to have to build good habits. All these things we're going to talk about today. Hard work, guys. Hate to break it to you, you don't just get to be an amazing agent. You have got to work hard. Everybody who have you ever heard people say that, oh, I want to get in the business because I want to have flexible time. I want to have more time to do this and that and the third. Yes, and it doesn't always work that way at the beginning. But with proper principles and proper business planning, you can skip that dumb tax that I sure paid. I paid the dumb tax, and I'm sure a lot of us who've been around for a little while paid the dumb tax too, right? Like all the mistakes we made, that's I'm here trying to save you all of that, okay? So, but please, 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 okay, don't feel like this is a don't give up speech. It gets hard. It's gonna suck sometimes, but it's gonna be great some other times, okay? Do not give up. Okay, because and do not compare yourself to other people either, because all you see is that top of that iceberg in other people. Like you just can't. You are not the same person. You are not living the same life. You cannot compare yourself to other people. They have been through it too, I'm sure, and they've been through different things. Some things maybe you wish to never go through. Okay? You don't want to go through some of the things other people have gone through to get where they are. Okay? You are your own person. The only person you're competing against is yourself. Yourself, folks. Okay. I want to introduce you to this concept, and it's so funny because I'm going to use my husband as an example because I totally did this to him the other day. So my husband's like trying, like he had a Mustang a few years ago, and now he's all like, I want a Mustang again. And I'm like, "Ugh." I'm really annoyed because he always does this. He's always like switching cars. But anyway, now because he has that in his mind, he's seeing the Mustangs everywhere and he's pointing them out to me. So that's his reticular activating system, right? That's his brain telling him that Mustangs are important right now. Therefore, he sees them all over. Okay. It's like an algorithm in your brain. So you ever like hover over something just a little too long on Instagram or on Facebook and suddenly that's all the internet shows you, right? It's because it thinks that you want to see that because you hovered over it just a little too long. Or even worse, you literally search for something just real quick, like just out of curiosity, and all of a sudden, then that's it. That's all, that's all your algorithm shows you. That's kind of the same idea with this, right? So this is the reason I'm bringing this up is because imagine if you decided to feed your brain really positive, amazing things, That's what your brain is going to show you. You're teaching your brain that this is important and it needs to be paid attention to. So here's what I mean. There was a study done at, I think, a Dominican University in California by Dr. Gail Matthews. Okay. And then so this is that reticular activating system, kind of in action. Sorry, I lost the word. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what they did was they took a group of adults, right? And they divided them into further groups, right? They divided them into 5 groups. And here's what they were. So the first group had goals, but they were unwritten. Like if you asked them, they could tell you, but they didn't write them down. Okay. Group number 2, they wrote them down. Group number 3, they wrote them down and said, I'm going to take this action towards this goal. Group number 4 did all of those things. They wrote them down. They made an action commitment and they told a friend, hey, friend, I'm making this action commitment. Group 5 took it even further, did all of those things, and then sent progress reports to that friend. I'm going to do it. And later, hey, I did it. And now I'm going to do this. And, progress reports to the friend. Okay. So, as you can imagine, because I'm sure some of this is starting to sound a little familiar, kind of like accountability partners and coaching, right? Like, so what they determined was that there was a positive effect of accountability, like I just said. So, sending weekly progress reports to somebody, like, imagine, like, so best example, if you're a parent and you tell your kid, we're going to go to Disney World, and then like you better take them to Disney World. Like, what if you're not going to not take them to Disney World after you told them you would, right? So that's the power of like telling somebody you're going to do things, or like giving them a progress report, right? Like I'm continuously doing this because I said I would, kind of thing. It's like that whole integrity factor, like in real life. So, and then there was also just the support of telling somebody in general, even if you didn't send them a progress report, that's still helpful, right? And then even just between writing them and not writing them, even just such a minimal thing as I have a goal and let me write it down, that also increased the chances of the person actually achieving their goal just simply by writing them down, right? So group 5 was able to achieve more of their goals because they did the most. If you guys are following, like every little additional action you can take is going to help you further get to that goal. Okay. So goals. What's up with them, right? So whenever you guys are thinking about a goal and, oh, I'm going to write my goals down or whatever, we need to write them down correctly. So here's an example. I want to lose some weight. Great, Michelle, that's fine and dandy. Awesome. That's not good enough. We're not going to write that goal down. That's not a deep enough goal. It's not a SMART goal. Okay. So Michelle, what do you mean by SMART goal? So SMART goal means that it needs to be S specific. So is I want to lose weight specific? I mean, I'm losing something, but how much something am I losing? I don't know, right? It's not specific enough. So if I said I want to lose 10 pounds, okay, that's a little bit more specific. We're on the right track here, okay? So then M is measurable. Can I measure that? Well, yeah, 10 pounds. I can see it on the scale. I can measure as I lose it, okay? Attainable. Can Michelle, me, right, the person setting this goal, can I lose 10 pounds? Yes, I can. However, can Michelle lose 100 pounds? Could I? Yes. Would I disappear? Yes. Like I can't do that. That's not attainable. I shouldn't do that. Okay. Relevant. So say my overall, vibe for 2026 is I want to be healthier and I need to lower my cholesterol. And part of that is losing weight. Is that relevant? Yes. Okay. Time based. Notice here, I just said I'm going to lose 10 pounds. When the heck am I going to do that? Next year, next month, next week, right? When? When? Because if I say next week, is that attainable now? Probably not. If I say next year, is that even a big deal? Like, does that even matter, right? It's not, it doesn't make sense for the goal. So if I said, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in the next 90 days, that sounds like a whole overall reasonable goal. Yes? So whenever we're writing stuff down in goal format, make sure that it applies to all of these things, okay? Because if not, it's just not specific enough. We're going to weasel our way out of it. It needs to be very smart, okay? So goal setting. This is where we start getting into some of the stuff in the workbook, guys. So whenever we're starting to goal set, or whenever we have like something in front of us and we're just sort of stuck and don't know like where to go from here, I want you guys to use this sheet. So first thing I want you guys to do again, when you're in your nice, quiet, concentrating space, is think about a someday goal. So like 10 years from now, like someday. Big goal. Have fun with it. Make a vision board if you want. Put a picture on your screensaver, something that represents this goal, like a really big deal. Just dream big, like money wasn't an issue, time wasn't an issue, just like biggest dreams come true. Okay, write this down. Be very descriptive, have a lot of fun with it. And then ask yourself, if I want to achieve this, say, for example, in 10 years from now, what do I have to do in the next 5 years in order to make that happen? Be really descriptive, like get into details on what exactly you have to do in the next 5 years in order for your someday goal to come true. And then as you can see, we're going to take it down a notch again. All right, so now if I want to do that in the next 5 years, what has to happen in 2026? In the next year, 1 year, what has to happen for me to be able to make that 5 year goal come true? Now it starts to get like in your face. You're like, shoot, it's like someday goal feels kind of far away, but 1 year goal is like really close. So what has to happen in 2026 for me to be a fifth of the way there to my 5 year goal? I don't know. We got to figure that out. So write it down, be nice and specific, okay? And then again, so on monthly, weekly, daily, and right now. And that's what I talked about. Sometimes you're like, "Ugh, I know I'm trying to get to this point, but I'm stuck." Like you can use this exercise, right? So like you can say to yourself, I've got whatever goal to do something by the end of the month, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do next. Analysis paralysis, do the same thing. Okay, if I got to get this done by the end of the year, right? Like right now we're in December, the end of the year. I got to get this done in the next month. All right, so that means this week I got to do this because the next week, whatever, right? And then so if I got to do that this week, that means today I got to do this. That means my action item should be this. You can use this sort of methodology to like unstuck yourself, right? And then so this kind of plays into it. By the way, there's going to be lots of book recommendations and they're listed at the end of the workbook as well. I'm a little bit of a book nerd. And then so these are my favorite books for business planning purposes, but I have a bunch of other books. So if you guys ever want a recommendation, like reach out to me. So this is a book that got introduced to me towards the beginning of my real estate career. And it asked this question: what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easy or unnecessary? It's kind of like what we were just talking about on the screen before. I'm stuck. What is the one thing I can do right now such that if I did this, everything else is going to be easy or unnecessary? We all know what it is, right? And sometimes we just don't feel like doing it. Sometimes we're skirting around the problem, doing something else. Okay. We have to get real with ourselves. What is that one thing? Okay. So, and these are a few other points that the book mentions, and I seriously love this book. It's like it's a time management sort of book, just to kind of get you focused on the things you need to be focused on. Like it's my number one. It's my number one recommendation. So focus creates results. You already know that when you're not focused, you're not actually producing anything. Like we sometimes we feel like we're busy, and then we look back at the day and we're like, what did I actually do today? Because we weren't focused. We were like doing this, doing that, doing that, and so we felt busy. And maybe we were just occupying our time. But did we actually did that energy actually result in anything? Probably not, because we were not focused on the thing we needed to focus on. So when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Okay, we can't like you ever ask somebody like what's your favorite food and they name off like six things. It's like no, favorite means like the favorite, like the one you like the most, right? So priority is the same thing. Like what is the thing you need to focus on? Like the thing. We can't have 10 priorities because then nothing is a priority really, because you just have a bunch of them. We're just willy-nilly having priorities. We can't do that. So until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction. So for a lot of realtors, that's usually something about lead generation. Lead generation is your one thing. And until you get that done, everything else is a distraction. Why? Because without leads, we have no money, we have no business, we have nothing. We need leads. So we need to generate leads. We need to dedicate our time to generating leads. That's my 2 cents on that. And then everything doesn't matter equally. Equality is a lie. There are things in your day that matter more than other things in your workday, period. And the things that matter more are the things that need to get done first before the other things, right? We can't just making a Canva something for my social media is way funner than cold calling people and getting yelled at. Yes, I know. But is making a little Canva, whatever, going to pay the bills? No. Right? Calling the people is going to pay the bills. So, another exercise, and it's also in this book, okay? This is like a really cool, like reflective exercise. It's I call it your whole self. So I want you guys to envision your life like you're juggling a bunch of balls, right? Like so, and all of these little things on the screen. So like your spiritual life, your physical life, your finances, your business, your personal relationships, things like that. Okay, so we're just constantly juggling, right? Because at some point you're like in business mode. At some point, like me, I'll be like in mom mode, and sometimes I'm in gym mode, right? So that's the ball that I'm juggling at that moment. But at any given point, I'm switching, right? Like I'm switching modes. The thing is that these balls that I'm juggling, some of them are rubber. And so just make sure y'all aren't asleep. What happens when you drop a rubber ball on the floor, guys? What happens? Somebody throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. What happens? It bounces. That is correct. Yay. So sometimes, we're juggling and we screw up and a ball falls, but it bounces and we just keep going, right? Like it's all good, nothing happened. But some of the balls in life are not rubber, they are glass. They are glass. And what happens if you drop a glass ball on the floor, guys? What happens? It breaks. Yep. And then so I'm sure you guys are looking at this list and you're thinking, this is a rubber ball, but this one's a glass ball. If I drop this ball, like imagine literally a glass ball dropped on the floor and you're trying to glue pieces back together. Could you do it? Maybe, but what if you lose a piece? What if they're really tiny little pieces? Like it's hard, right? It's basically, you can say it's basically impossible to put it back together. Okay, so some of these pieces of our life are glass balls, and we have to take really, really good care of them. Okay, and that's the story that I told you guys earlier. Like I really neglected my personal life, my personal relationships, my physical health, and to me, all of those are glass balls. If I drop those, like a little crack or something, whatever. But like if I drop those, like it's over. You can't come back from stuff like that. Okay, and that's a harsh reality that I had to realize. So in your worksheet, what I want you to do is think about all these little pieces of your life, and I want you to rate yourself in a 1 to 10. So how do you feel about your spiritual life on a scale of 1 to 10, and describe it, right? Explain in detail why you're rating yourself that way. And then I want you to think, what would make this area of my life a 10? What exactly? What's the one thing that I could do what that would make this area a 10 in my life right now? Okay. And then when you're done doing it, I want you to look at all of them and think, prioritize. So what is that? Like, it's going to scream at you. It's going to look at you right in your face and be like, that right there is the thing I need to focus on first. That part of my life. And guess what? It might not be your business. It might not be. It might be your relationships with, people that you love. It might be your physical health. It might be your spiritual life. I have a lot of mentee relationships that we actually don't get into real estate for quite a while. We are just working on other things before we really get into the depths of real estate, believe it or not. Okay. It's a real thing. So once you've done this exercise, something's going to scream at you and it's going to be obvious what the one thing is that you can do. That if you would just do that, all the rest of the juggling of these balls would be a lot easier. Okay. And then so habits, guys. Oh, we love them, we hate them, but they're a thing, okay? So how are we going to make these changes, right? So on the screen before, you guys just identify, I got to do this. I got to do this to change my life. I'm going to keep giving you the working out example, okay? So my physical health sucks. I need to do something about it, okay? I need to start getting up and running 5 times a week, whatever. That, I'm trying to create this new habit, whatever that habit is, okay? And they say it takes 66 days to form a new habit. So you got yourselves a cute little sheet there that has 66 boxes on it. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is, and I don't want you guys to like think of 16 things you're going to do right now because you're just setting yourself up for failure. All right. We are focusing. So there's one habit you're trying to make or break, which we're going to talk about in a second on the ways to do that. Whatever habit that is, I want you to write it down on this sheet. And every day when you go to either make or break this habit, if you succeed, I want you to put a check. If you do not succeed, I want you to put an X. And you are going to hate putting that X. You're going to hate it. You're going to be like, ugh, I suck, right? And that's the point. I want you guys to feel the ick of putting the X. Because guess what? We've just told ourselves we're going to do something and then we didn't and we got to put an X on it. And that's going to suck big time. Okay? That's the ick I want you guys to feel. And I'm not saying you're going to fail. I'm just saying we're human and it's hard to build a new habit or break a habit and there's a chance that we might not do it one day, but the point is that once you've done that X, you're not going to want to do that X again. It's going to suck. And the next day you're going to be like, cannot let myself down again. Okay. And on that note, talking about letting ourselves down, remember the earlier example when I'm like, if you're going to tell a kid you're going to take him to Disney World, you're going to take him to Disney World, right? So why we won't let them down, right? Because we've told someone that we love, right? Like that we're going to do something amazing for them. We've got them all happy, right? And we're not going to let them down. But why do we do that to ourselves? We're always telling ourselves like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my life in XYZ way. And we drop the ball. We just don't for some reason, right? Why do we do that to ourselves? Like it doesn't make any sense. And I'm guilty here too, guys. I'm not saying here I'm like perfect or whatever. There's some that I'm always like, I got this new idea or I got this new thing. And I don't always succeed on it, right? But why do we just let ourselves down like that? Like think about it. And just don't. Right? Like we need to put it in our heads like from now going forward, we're just not going to do that. We are not going to let ourselves down. We make a promise to ourselves. It's a promise that we're going to keep. Just because nobody's watching doesn't mean that we don't get to do this. That's why some people, like, you ever seen some people just say, I am committing to running on to XYZ habit, and they put it on social media for everyone to see, and they start posting themselves doing it constantly. It's like an accountability thing, right? Like, whatever you got to do to make this happen, you cannot let yourself down. You can't. Okay. And we're talking about habits here, guys, but at the end of the day, this all boils down to discipline. The discipline required to actually build this new habit or to break a bad habit that we want to break, okay? Discipline over motivation. Because guess what? If your habit is I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym 5 days a week, you are not going to be motivated to do that some days. You're just not. You're going to be in pain. Like I was sore as heck today this morning. I was like, but I'm going to go to the gym and work out something else that's not my legs because my legs are still super sore from the other day. So, but some days I'm just not going to be motivated. It's the discipline that's going to get me up and get me to the gym. The discipline, not the motivation. So maybe by the time you get done with this call, you're going to be like, oh, I am so pumped. Michelle just motivated the crap out of me. Good. I'm glad. But that's not going to get you filling out this habit worksheet. Your discipline is the discipline that you're going to build is what's going to get you there. Okay. So how do we build new habits and break old habits? Okay. This book is amazing. It is actually all over FastCap. If you've taken FastCap, I love it. Okay. So Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about the 4 laws of behavior change. So this is what you want to do if you're trying to build a new habit, and then I'll tell you how to backwards it, right? For if you're trying to break a bad habit. So first thing you're going to do is make it obvious. Okay. So something visual to cue your habit. So you ever heard of people that are like, oh, I want to start going to the gym, so I'm going to lay out my workout clothes in the morning. That way I see it, I put it on, I'm already dressed, I got to go, right? Like I'm already going to go do it. So stuff like that. So put your lead gen time on your calendar. That way you open your calendar, it's staring at you in the face. You know that's what you have to do. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is make it attractive. Nobody wants to do stuff that's not fun, right? So make it attractive. So say you're going to listen to your favorite playlist while you organize your CRM or do your lead generation or whatever. Pair something you enjoy with this new habit that you're trying to create. Okay? And then we're also going to make it easy because nobody wants to do things that are hard, right? So if your goal is to run a marathon one day, please don't wake up tomorrow and run a marathon. Okay, we need to work on this over time because you're going to try probably tomorrow and maybe it won't work out. But we need to train and practice and create we got to make it easy, right? So use the 2-minute rule. So a new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do. Just some real quick, right? So if it has to do with running, if the ultimate goal is running that marathon, what's a quick little thing that we can do to get ourselves into this habit to eventually get us there? Yes. And then make it satisfying. So in real estate, we like to reward ourselves with closings, right? But there's a lot of tiny things that you did before you got to that closing. You did your lead gen, you did your follow-ups, you time blocked awesome. Like you did so many great things, but we're only rewarding ourselves with that reward. What? No, we need to reward the small habits that and the discipline that we built to get us to that closing. That's how you think about training a dog, guys. Like we're reinforcing this small behavior. Like, so we lead gen today. Yes, check, right? Like that's the point of the habit worksheet. That little check or is satisfying. Like it feels good to check that off. Like I love to-do lists. I love to, I have sometimes I write things on my to-do list just so I could check them off because it's very satisfying. You know what I'm saying? So now if you're thinking, okay, well, how do I break a habit? You do the opposite. Okay. So you want to make it invisible. So if you're trying not to eat cookies, don't buy cookies and put them in your house, right? Because if they're not there, you won't eat them. Okay. We're going to make it unattractive. So, what's a negative consequence to the behavior that you're trying to break? Well, I noticed that every time I spend the weekend eating junk food, I step on the scale and I've gained 3 pounds. And then I got to work all week to get rid of those pounds. That is unattractive. That sucks, right? And then make it difficult. So, the cookie thing. If the cookie's in the house, I will eat it. If the cookie's not in the house, I got to get dressed. I got to get in the car. I got to go to the store just so I can get a cookie. It makes it really hard, right? And then make it unsatisfying. So create an immediate cost or consequence for doing this. So what's something like that, I can't think of a cookie one right now, but something immediately like no bueno, right? That comes from doing this bad habit. Okay, that's how you like reverse engineer this to break a bad habit. Okay, so I'm going to take a water break. But we've talked about dreaming big. We've talked about breaking that down. We talked about the one thing, getting in touch with those areas of your life. We talked about habits and discipline and, just the importance of all that in like building a business. But here's something else I want you guys to consider. Your big why. So I spent years at the beginning of my real estate career with people shoving this down my throat, literally shoving this down my throat. Like, you got to figure out your big why. And I'm like, I don't know, I just want to sell the real estate, whatever. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I really, truly did not know, and it wasn't until that hard moment happened to me, right? Like, it wasn't until then that I was like, oh, I don't want to sell real estate the rest of my life. I need to set myself up to do something more. I want to have my weekends back. I want to spend my evenings with my kids when they get home from school. Like I realized all of the things that were important to me, they started to come up, right? And the thing that kind of became like the common theme of all of those things was if I was financially independent, then I wouldn't need to work or feel the need to work and feel the need to hustle that hard. I could stop, take a break, come back to work because I'm financially free, right? Whenever I wanted to or whenever I had to, right? Like I had the death in my family, I could, if I had been financially free at that moment, I could have said, whatever, all y'all, I need to focus on my family right now. You know? I didn't have that at that time. And I realized that was my big why. Some of you might already know what your big why is. Some of you might not, right? And that's okay. I'm not telling you need to go figure it out. What I'm saying is you need to have it in your head that it's important to be working for a reason. Because right now, we're all self-employed guys. We don't have a boss that's telling us to get up and do something. We have to tell ourselves to get up and do something. And some days it's easy to do, and some days it's not. So why do we get up in the morning? What makes us proud to do the work that we do? Okay, so this is in your worksheet. So who do you serve? How does their life improve because of what I do? When you win, who else wins? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Like really dig deep and figure out like why do I do this? And then when you think you have an answer, stop and ask yourself why again. So why is that important to me? And then stop and ask again, why is that important to me? Right? There's usually like some deeper down like reason for all of this, right? Because I gave you a bunch of examples, but what it really boiled down to was if I was just financially independent, then I could work when I wanted to, not because I had to. And that's what I realized that was important to me. I wanted to have that flexibility to take a month off like I did last summer, and go on a trip with my family. But I would never have been able to do that 5, 6, 7 years ago. There is no way. There's zero way. And I was selling way more houses then. So you think like, well, you shouldn't have had a problem. No, there was zero way that I could go anywhere without my laptop, guys. I was out writing an offer while my husband was at the casino after I hadn't seen him for 6 months when he got deployed. I said, "Oh, I'll see you in a minute. I gotta go write an offer." Ew, that's horrible. Like I hadn't seen him in 6 months and we were supposed to be getting away together and I left him there in Vegas at the casino to go write an offer. Like that's awful. And I don't want anybody to do that. So what is your why? Think deep. And if you don't have it yet, you will eventually. Just have it in your mind that it's an important thing you need to discover. All right, folks, mindset. Okay, we're going to shift over to the businessy stuff now. So, but here are some mindset things you got to have in your head. So, this is a business, not a job. You are a CEO. You are not an employee. You have a business. You didn't like get a new job in real estate, right? Some of us are treating it that way, but that's not what it is. You have a business to run, okay? Systems create freedom. Systems create freedom. Okay. If you want freedom, you need systems. And it doesn't mean like you have to hire a person. It means you need a system, right? So don't misunderstand me. It doesn't mean that you need a person. Take responsibility for your results. Okay. Back when I had my first team, when I was working alone, and I started having a lot of people on my team like want to renegotiate their splits, and maybe they weren't calling their leads, they were dropping the ball. I was just not having a good time managing that team. Guess whose fault it was? Mine. It's not theirs. It's my fault. Why? Because I didn't have the systems to train them. I just hired anybody with a pulse. I had no value, right? Like why were they working with me? Just for leads, basically, right? So if they felt the leads sucked, then what were they going to do? They were going to rebel. Like, it's not that the leads sucked, it's that you guys didn't call them, right? But why didn't they call them? Because me, at the end of the day, it all comes back to me. So we are CEOs, we are leaders, we take responsibility for the result. If we did not have the number of closings that we wanted to have, guess whose fault it is? Look in the mirror because it's your fault. Because there's something you can do. There's something you can do, and we all know it. We all know it. Okay. Oh, I'm going to get off the soapbox now. Okay. Profit first. Everything we do is about profit first. We are running a business. Okay. We're not just going to throw money at some lead generation source without knowing it's going to, or, having a decent idea that it's going to return a certain amount of ROI for us. Profit first for everything. And we have to work on our business, not just in our business. If all you do is wake up in the morning and like go after it and just do the deals, we're working in the business, but we're not working on the business. Because if you just do that, you're going to do that forever. You're not trying to get out of it. You're not working on your business. You're not creating systems to help you get out of that. And if that's what you want to do forever, that's cool. But I decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I needed to work time into my schedule to work on my business, to work on those systems that were going to give me that freedom. Systems create freedom. Okay. So another activity I want you guys to do, which I feel is really important before we get into the financials, is this is about funding your life. So for most of us, our business funds our life. Like we need to make a certain amount of money in our business to fund the business, but also to fund our life, right? So how do we know how much money we need to fund our life? Well, how much does it cost for you to live? Literally, like how much is that? We don't know. So I want you guys to look at your life today, and if you have the ability to get really detailed into this, I recommend it, because when I did, I realized I spent a lot of money on eating out and I didn't need to do that. So get really into it. But how much does it cost to run your life as it is today? Today. Okay. I use a system called Monarch. I used to use Mint, but Mint went away. Monarch is like, I think it's $100 a year or something like that, but it's really user friendly. You plug all your accounts into there. You can create budgets and different categories and goals and things like that. And it really helps put my personal life into perspective. And the reason I'm telling you this is because that's exactly what you're going to have to do for your business life. And if we can't wrap our heads around doing it in the personal life, it's going to be a little hard to do it on the business life. Okay. So get into details like, what does it cost to live my life today? Because then we're going to have a lot of fun, think back on that someday goal and say, well, how much is it going to cost for me to run my life when I've achieved my someday goal? Probably a little more, because we want to do fun things like get my hair blown out every week and get a massage every week and have a spa day, whatever life looks like for you. Okay. How much does that life cost? Your someday life, right? And there's going to be a difference there, probably. And then so that's how we know what to work towards a certain income goal, right? So do that activity, have some fun with it. But the purpose of this is we need to really get in touch with what it costs to run our personal lives, because that's how much money our business needs to generate in order um, to be able to fund ourselves, right? So that's the purpose of that. And also to have some fun so you can see like, whoa, I need to make a lot more money to do all these fun things I want to do in my someday life. Okay, so this is also a book I got introduced to at the beginning of my real estate career because I said, I really want to start a team. And then I got handed this book. Okay, so this is called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And in this book, they talk about 4 models. Okay, these are the models that you need to implement in your business. So, yes, the first phase of business planning is everything else we just talked about. Second phase of business planning is implementing these models into your business, like in like these systems, these models, like stuff that you discuss either with yourself or if you have a team, an assistant, whatever, like these are things that need to exist in your business in some way, shape, or form. So if you don't have them yet, you probably have some inkling of them. You just don't realize what it is that you have. But we need to start building these things out. Okay. So, in a nutshell, and I'm going to go into details. So, the economic model is like your numbers. So, everybody here is like, oh, agents need to know their numbers. Those are the numbers I'm talking about. So, if you want to close 100 deals next year, how many calls does that mean you have to make today? And a lot of us probably don't know what that is, but there's ways to figure this out. That's the economic model, right? Like literally the figuring out of all of those numbers that it takes to do all of those things. Lead generation model focuses basically on building your database. How do you generate leads that end up in your database? Because your database is your data bank, right? So that is your database is your business. If down the road you're like, Michelle, I want to sell my business, what you're selling is literally your database. So that model revolves around how do we get people from out there into our database, into our world, so we can market to them in however ways to get business from them, right? Budget model is exactly what you think it is, your budget. So your money that comes out, right? So I spend this amount on paper, on advertisements, on my dues for the board, on my Supra key, on my assistant, whatever. Like, so your budget, like what you spend, right? And then organizational model, that's a really fun one, especially if you're just starting out, because you get to like build out like, what does my dream organization look like? And what I mean by that is like, say it's just, solo you, team of one right now. That's cool. But in 2026, you want to hire an assistant. Well, your little org model, and I'll show you, it's going to be you and then a little line. It's going to be an assistant. It's going to be really cool. And then 5 years from now, it could be you and then all the other people, right? So you can like dream big and build out your organization, like the admin help you want, the agent help you want, like what do you want your team, organization, or whatever to look like? And you don't have to do all that. It could just be solo you, team of one with a bunch of admin. It's literally whatever you want, but that's what the organizational model is. Okay, so economic model. All successful business owners know their numbers. We must know our numbers. Okay. So, what I recommend to keep this easy, especially if you're just starting out, is set your income goal. We all know how to do this. I will close X units, which equals X volume, which equals X GCI. We all know how to figure this out. We all have different average commissions, average price points, and stuff like that. Figure this out. This is what I would use as your 2026 overall business goal. That's it. That's what you want to accomplish. See, it's very specific, right? Measurable. We know how to measure this. It's attainable, hopefully, right? You're going to put something that's attainable. Although irrelevant, yeah, it's relevant, right? And time-based. We're going to do this in 2026. See, smart goal. Okay. And then we got to work backwards to figure out, well, how am I going to do that? Right? So if I want to close 100 deals, how many like calls do I have to make today in order to make that happen? Right? And you might be asking yourself, Michelle, I literally don't know. I have no idea. Well, we're going to track it, and I'm going to show you in a few slides a tracker to do that. Okay. But we need to track it. And over time, you will figure out what this number is. Okay. So the things that you're going to be tracking, the leads that come in, the calls you make, the people that actually answer when you make a call or a text. I say call, but I mean call or text. The appointments you set, you go on, you actually get signed, contracts you write, closings you have, showings you do, open houses you do. We're tracking all of these things. Okay. And then there's a conversion rate associated with a lot of this stuff. So how many offers do I need to write for a closing? Back when things were crazy and you were working with a buyer, you might have to write 6 or 7 offers to end up with one buyer closing. And how do we know this? Because you've tracked it, right? And you feel like, dang, this is like the 5th offer I've written for this person, right? But maybe that's not the case anymore. So this is how you can determine if a market is shifting. How many clients do I sign per closing? Because, for example, nowadays we might get a bunch of listings. It doesn't mean that we're selling them all, right? A lot of them are sitting on the market for a while. So how many signed list, like how many listings do I have to sign in order for me to get X amount of closings? This is important because if your conversion rate, say, let me use this one as an example. So how many contacts to set an appointment? So if I know I need to go on 5 appointments this month, but I need to make 100 calls to get 5 appointments, like I need to know this number because if I only make 5 calls, am I going to get my 5 appointments? No. I need to know exactly how many calls I have to make in order to get that result. How do we know this? By tracking it, which I will give you a tool for that too. Okay. What you track, you can improve. What you ignore controls you. Those of you who aspire to be team leaders or are already team leaders, this is an important thing too, because you have an agent on your team, right? And they're struggling somewhere. How do you know exactly where they're struggling? Are they struggling with setting the appointment in the first place? Or are they struggling with getting that person signed once they've had the appointment? You would know this if you track the numbers, right? Because then you can coach them to that. So even if you don't have a team, it's important to know this for yourself as well. Okay. So then we move over to lead gen. So kind of connected, right? So the other one is the numbers. This is like, what do we do as a business, as your business? What do we do to get people into our database, right? And then what does it look like once they're in there? So we need to build a predictable system. We're just not randomly hustling like to just fill up our database and then you just put them in there and you forget about them. Okay. We all know all of a sudden we've gone through our database and we're like, where did this person come from? Oh no, I forgot all about them. I didn't, I stuck them in here and I forgot they existed. Or worse yet, you find a piece of paper somewhere because you never stuck them in your CRM. So you were never able to follow up with them. You're like, shoot. And you found this piece of paper like, weeks later. Okay. We don't want to do this. We need a predictable system so leads do not fall through the cracks. So we have proper follow up, so on and so forth. Okay. And then also I want you guys to remember relationships are relationships over transactions. If you have relationships with your people that you know in your database, they will turn into transactions eventually without you even having to try so hard, right? Because the relationships are what builds those transactions. Okay. And then stay consistent. Consistency beats intensity. Okay. So let me backtrack for a second. So we all know leads are the fuel of the business. Without leads, we don't have a business. So part of this lead generation model is like this. So we get leads from all over. We meet a friend out like in person, out in real life. We meet somebody, right? Or an internet lead comes in, or someone calls us on a sign, or we get a referral, whatever. These are all just all the ways that leads come in, right? And by the way, whenever we have a closing, we want to track where these closings came from because then we know what our best lead sources are, right? And we double down on those because we like to double down on the ones that are the best. So leads come in, right? What does that look like? So a lead appears, you call them, they go into your database right away. That's all a system, right? Because imagine that all of a sudden you could not explain to someone and you have like someone else had to run your business for you and you couldn't tell them. They had to read something. And that paper had to tell them exactly what to do when a lead comes in. That's the system that you're building. So a lead comes in, I put them in the database, I set them on an auto thing that will remind me to call them until I've set an appointment. And then I set the appointment. I do the appointment based on my system for the appointment. I get them signed, right? And then after I get them signed, what do? I put them on a drip, right? And then they go on the drip. How often do I follow up with them when they're on a drip? Twice a week? 3 times a week? When exactly? So this all can get like either automated or programmed into your CRM, but you can see where we're building a system that's repeatable, that's consistent, and then all you have, it's like a plug and play. Somebody enters your, space, right? So a lead enters your atmosphere. What happens to them? Okay. And that's the predictable system that I'm talking about. And then, so the system is nothing if you don't actually work the system, though, because there's some things you can automate, but there's some things that you cannot. So 2 hours of lead gen per day, at least. At least. That's minimum. That is bare minimum, guys. Okay. It has to, that's the consistency factor. You can get leads all day long and they can sit in your database, but if you don't call them, you don't like follow up with them, you don't like attempt to make contact, then it's not going to do nothing for you. Okay. So that is what the lead generation model is. What does that all look like? And you take it a step further. Once you've actually closed these people, okay, the work doesn't stop there. We have to continue to communicate with them on a regular basis because those are the best kinds of leads, the repeats, the referrals from your past clients, all that stuff. But they will forget who you are if you don't continuously communicate with them somehow. Send them a random text, like I talked about at the beginning, right? Like, Happy Thanksgiving. This is the perfect time of year to have an excuse to message somebody, guys. Like, literally, do not let this opportunity pass you by. Just like, I just want to wish you guys a happy holidays. I hope you and the family are well. Are you enjoying your house? Like, there's no better excuse to reach out to somebody than literally this month. So, no excuses. Okay. This is the system you got to build out. How does this look like? So, when you close on them, like I just said, I call them 4 times a year. They get a monthly newsletter from me. I do 3 client events a year. How many, like, what communication, like, how many times a year do they got to see you? For them to convert into for them to give you a referral or convert into repeat business. That's all a system that's got to get built out. Okay, so now that's all like leads coming in, like, activities and stuff. Now let's talk about like money coming out. Okay, budget, because we run a business, like I said, right? So every dollar has a job. So when we talk about GCI, that is gross commission income, every dollar has a job. So it goes into one of these pieces of the pie, every single dollar. So it's either an expense, a cost of sale, or a profit, period. At first, I recommend that you put it like this. Okay. But also, I want you guys to understand when we're looking at, like, if you guys are out here looking at big mega teams and stuff like that, thinking, whoa, and like, that's really amazing. I want to have that one day. I promise they don't have 40% profit margins. I promise. They are operating on way less profit margins than that. However, you know, 5% or 10% of like millions of dollars is more than, 40% of of like a much smaller GCI. Okay. So although that little percentage is smaller, they're working with big, big, giant GCIs on their big, giant, giant teams. Okay. So with all of that said, over time, as your team grows or your business grows, you will be adjusting this, but this is like a good place to start. Okay. So what exactly is all of this, Michelle? I don't get it. What is an expense and what is a cost of sale? Okay. So an expense is the easiest thing to do. So you go put gas in your car. You buy some pens, you buy a laptop, you buy signs, lock boxes, you advertise on Facebook, whatever. All of that stuff is expenses, money that you spend. Okay. Cost of sale is things that have to expenses that have to happen in order for you to make that sale. So for me, what I do on my sheets is I put cost of sale as my cap that I pay to EXP, all of my EXP fees, right? Because I'm paying this, I need to pay this in order to run my business, right? So that is my cost of sale. I also put my transaction coordinator fees on there because I pay per transaction. So whenever if I'm having a transaction, I'm having a cost of sale of a transaction coordinator fee attached to it every time. Okay. Whenever I pay someone to do the showings for me, those are cost of sale as well. Because in order for me to have a buyer closing, the way I run my business, I must have a showing partner fee. If I had a buyer agent or a listing agent, those are cost of sales as well. If I pay a referral to another agent or a referral company, that's a cost of sale too. So just to throw this in here, if you guys are thinking about starting a team and you want to be on a 50-50 split, okay, that's 50-50 is already 50% of that sale is cost of sale. Okay. I personally don't think that works because nowhere on here does it say that 50% of any GCI is going anywhere. Okay. Cost of sale is 30%. 30, not 50, 30, 30 or less. So imagine I have a buyer agent and they're on a 50-50 split with me, okay? And it's a referral and I give it to them. Well, there's a referral paid off the top, that's cost of sale. And now 50% of whatever's left is also cost of sale. The math ain't mathin', guys. Okay? So that's my little 2 cents there with that. Okay? So all of those things are considered cost of sale. So, and then everything that's left is your profit. So when we think about our income goal, right? Earlier we talked about I will close this many units, this much volume, this much GCI. That's gross commission income. That is not what's going in your pocket. That is gross commission income. You have to figure at least, right? Well, since we're building these models, I'll say we don't have an idea of this. We have to figure that whatever number that is, say that was 100 grand, we have to figure that our profit, what we're actually putting in our pocket is 40 grand. 40%. Okay. Now you might have a bigger profit margin than that. And I love that for you. That's great. Right. But if we're just building this out and we're not really quite sure, Imagine that it's 40% of your GCI is what you're actually taking home in your pocket. Because also taxes, right? Okay, that goes in there, that goes in there too. So I want you guys to track this every month, okay? And every quarter, I want you to look back and be like, is this working? Am I on track to hit my goal? Because remember, this is a percentage of your expected GCI. If you're not actually hitting that GCI, like if you're short, then you need to adjust accordingly. Like you need to adjust your expectations for profit. Your expenses need to come down. If we're not on our way, you can continue to be spending at the same rate if we're not getting there, right? Because then you're gonna this is all gonna get tilted in the wrong direction. Okay. Um, I lost myself. Okay, so track it monthly, adjust it quarterly. We got to stay on top of it. What I do is I have what I call a CEO day, and I sit down and I look at my financials, I look at my goals, I look at my calendar, and I adjust. I do this every single month. Every single month, I'm looking at everything and I adjust as needed. Okay. And then the organizational model, like I talked about. So it looks literally like that, like you and then the little sticks and then all the people, right? Or whatever you want. What I want you guys to do is create one for right now, like your 2026 goal. But then I also want you to dream bigger and do like your 5 year goal. Like what do you want your organization to look like 5 years from now? And every year as you do your business planning, do the same thing and keep record of it because you're going to see how your evolution grows. Like this year, your business looks like this. Next year, your business looks like that. Like it's going to be a really cool thing to look at. But you need to think about building your business to grow beyond you. Okay, you are not going to be the one that is the best at everything. Eventually, because we're going to be big bad business owners, we're going to we're going to outgrow this and we're going to need some help, right? That's the idea. So when that time comes, I want you to think about hiring talent, not helpers. We're not hiring someone to help us. We're hiring someone that's actually talented at the task we want them to complete for us. Okay. I want you to leverage through systems and people, not just people. Like I said, you don't have to just go straight to people. There's a lot of leveraging that can be done via systems, especially now with like all this automation and AI stuff or whatever. Like leverage all of that stuff first before you bring a person into it because that stuff's cheaper than a person is. A person is more expensive. Okay. Systems run the business, people run the systems. Okay. So eventually you create those systems, you can run them eventually. It's too much for you to run, and that's when you need some help, right? That's the idea. Stay in your strength zones. Focus on the things that only you can do. So you're lead generating, you're going on appointments, you're negotiating, those things. Those are things that only you can do. Literally everything else somebody else could probably do for you. Okay. Replace yourself in tasks, not leadership. You are still the leader. Okay. Um, and then hire for where you're going, not for where you are. So when we're casting out these visions and things like that, like if you think, okay, so if next year I want to be in X position, that means that at some point this year, I need to think about maybe hiring someone for this, right? Does my money support, does like my income support this? Does the goal that I'm trying to hit like support this? Does this all make sense? So hire for where you're going. Don't wait until the last minute to hire because then you'll hire out of pain and you might end up making a bad hire. Okay, so hire slow, fire fast is the rule. Okay, so don't wait until like you're up to here in stuff before you hire someone because you'll make a mistake for sure. You're gonna be desperate, and we don't want to make hires out of desperation like that. Okay. So remember earlier I was like, you guys got to track your numbers. So this is in your workbook too. I'm really old school, and so you guys look, I have one. I have the weekly version right here. So I'm not even lying to y'all. I use it too. Okay. So this is something I've been using for a long time. Whenever I'm lead generating, I have that paper right in front of me and I literally just make like a tally mark every time I make a call, every time someone answers, every time I set an appointment, I make a little tally and then I put them in a system called CTE, but you could also use Sisu because Sisu is free. But I put all my numbers in there, or you can just literally have Sisu open, whatever, it's up to you. I don't care how you do it as long as you do it. But I use this because it's just easier for me to write the little tally mark and then later I put it in my electronic system that'll help me spit out all of my conversion rates that I was telling you about. Okay. So, but it's the habit of actually making the dang tally marks and actually tracking it is the hard part. Like the tracking part is the hard part. So this sheet will help you like have it in front of your face, making it obvious. Remember I said like we got to make it obvious. So having a piece of paper, in front of your face will remind you that you need to do this. I used to like put these into a binder with all the rest of my goal sheets, and then like I would have in the front of the binder something nice that would remind me of my goal. So I like paper sometimes, y'all. So maybe paper works for you too. So that is what you want to use this for. Okay, okay. Okay. So GPS stands for goals, priorities, strategies. Okay, so when now we're gonna start putting this all these things we've been thinking about or whatever, we're going to put it on paper and we're going to develop it into a plan that's going to end up on our calendar. Watch this. It's going to happen so fast. So, the one big annual goal, boom, you're going to put it up there. Okay. What is it? Very specific. Remember, SMART or SMART goal. And then we're going to think, okay, if I want to do this in 2026, what am I going to prioritize to get this done? Right. I'm going to give you a clue and I'm going to use this as an example, but it's probably something to do with lead generation. Okay. So maybe that's our first priority, right? Like building out our lead gen model. Okay. Whatever that looks like. Let's use this as an example. So that's priority numero uno. And then we're going to ask, okay, so now that that's my priority and I have my other two priorities, I need to come up with up to, not more than, 5 strategies. Okay. It could be less, right? Because we need to focus, right? We don't want all the things. So up to 5 strategies or controllable actions that will help us achieve this priority. Okay. So for example, say I'm developing my lead generation model and I want to focus on open houses in 2026. Like I am going to be the open house queen in 2026. So what does that mean? I need to build out an open house system. So one of my strategies might be developing my open house system. Okay. And then so on and so forth, right? So that's how you build this sheet out. You do this sheet once per year. So remember when I was like, oh, I usually put this sheet along with my goal sheets. This is the goal sheet I'm talking about. So I have it in front of me. When I flip to my grind sheets, like my trackers, I see it all. It's all right in front of me in a little binder. Okay. If you don't like it in a binder, put it on a bulletin board, whatever, in front of your desk. I don't care. As long as you use it. Okay. So this is your 135. You do this once. It's also called a 135. So, 135. And you use it every single year. Okay. So now we're going to take it a step further. So now that we've got our 135, this one you'll do monthly. Okay. It's called a 411. Should be called a 114, but whatever. So this is what you do. That same annual goal goes up top because we got to remind ourselves. Remember, we write it down. The RAS gets activated, right? It gets in front of our face. It's very important. We have to keep it in front of our face. And then we're going to say, okay, so if I got to do that, I'm going to make it easy. If we want to sell 12 houses this year, every month you got to sell how many? One, right? So what is that monthly goal that we got to achieve in order to do our annual goal? What is it? Boom, right there. And then you're going to sit down on your CEO day when you're planning, okay? And you're going to say, okay, if I'm going to do that this month, that means this week I got to work on this, 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 and this, up to 5 things. This becomes kind of your to-do list, if you will, okay? So say I'm going to work on my open house system this month because that's the thing I'm saying is most important right now. What does that mean? I got to develop my sign-in system. Like, how am I going to get people to sign in? Like, what does my open house kit have in it? Who am I going to get to sponsor it for me? What days of the week do I do it? Like, what does that system look like, right? So I'm going to start writing down all the things I got to do this week in order to help me achieve this monthly goal. All right. And now I've done that. Then next week, when I sit down for my following planning, I'm going to reflect back on week 1 and say, did I do what I said I was going to do? Hopefully the answer is yes. But if not, we're going to figure out, okay, now I have 3 weeks left. What do I have to accomplish this week in order for my monthly goal to happen? We write that down in week 2. Then you guessed it, week 3, you do the same thing. You reflect back and say, okay, I got 2 weeks left. What do I got to do to hit, this keeps us on track to hitting our goals because we're not just setting it. Did I do that on the screen just now? All those lines? Oh, yeah, I have lines on my screen. I don't know if you guys see lines on the screen. Anyway, so we're trying to keep ourselves on track, okay? Like if we just set it and then never look at the goals again, it's kind of like 50-50. Like, are we going to hit them or not, right? Who knows? And we just can't leave that kind of thing to chance, all right? So that's how we do a 411. I want to segue just a second. This book is super interesting to me. It kind of helped me think about things a little bit different. This is called the 12-week year. So, a second ago, I was just like talking to you about annual goals, right? And sometimes setting annual goals are not as effective because it feels like it's still kind of far away. And then, so the idea of this book is that what if like the year was actually only 12 weeks, was actually your quarter? So if you took the whole year and said, like I want to close, um, I can't math right now. I want to close 12 deals this year. And then so I'm only going to focus on the quarter and I want to close 3 deals. You just put your blinders on and you're only focused on this one quarter of your goals, right? And so it just kind of makes it a little more urgent because you're focusing on one quarter at a time. It's like really close. Like because right now you're lead generating right now basically for the end of next quarter if you think about it. So it's like you're really just focusing on your quarters. So if this is a book that like speaks to you and resonates to you, I wanted to throw that in there as you're thinking about your planning. Like it made me think about things a lot differently. And we actually started on our team looking at our goals like straight quarterly. Like we're like, okay, forget about my annual goal for the number of units I want to sell. We are in Q1, so we are looking at Q1 right now. That's it. We're not looking at anything else. So anyway, I wanted to throw that in there. Okay, so we have our 135, we have our 411. How the heck are we going to do this, guys? By time blocking. Okay. If we do not time block, it's literally not going to happen. Okay. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So now we're going to pretend we have a blank calendar for 2026, and I'm going to show you how to fill it out. Okay. So, blank calendar. First thing you're going to do is put in your personal activities. So, Michelle, what personal activities are we talking about? Okay. Your vacation time. I don't care if you don't actually have a vacation right now. Pick a week, your favorite week of the year, and say, this is the week that I'm going on vacation, or 2 weeks, whatever. Vacation time. Put it somewhere. Okay. And then we're going to focus on our family time and our personal time. Okay. So, family time, like, date night, my kid needs to be picked up, sports for kids, whatever, so and so's getting married, whatever. Family time and your personal time. So, I like to go to the gym. I like to read. I like to go dance, whatever. I need my personal time as well. Why? Because if all of our personal stuff is in there, then we have no excuse to not do it because our business is going to revolve around our personal life, not the other way around. Okay. And that's why it needs to go on the calendar first. Numero uno. Okay. Then we're going to move to business activities. So I want you to put your business vacations in there. So, like when you go out of town, out of the office, things that require you to leave work, but you're still working kind of thing, right? Because say you want an EXP con for the week, you're going to need to double down on lead generation before and after that. So we need to put that business out of office first. Okay. Then you're going to put all your money making activities. Anything that makes you money. If it doesn't make you money, it's not a money making activity. Okay. So lead generation, things that make you money. Okay. That goes in there. Then everything else that has to do with business. Everything else. So all those little funny Canva things and diddle daddling on this and that and the third, that's after your money making activities. Okay. This is the priority in which you fill in your calendar, right? And so part of the everything else is all the things that we talked about, the working on your business. We need to find time to put that in there because if not, then like I said, you're just working in it. You're just that employee of your own business for like ever, and you're never going to work on your business to get out. So that stuff in your 411, your little things in your week, that stuff needs to find a home in your calendar. It must, because if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. So every week when you sit down to do your 411, you think to yourself, okay, I said I'm going to work on whatever. Where on my calendar does it fit? Literally stick it on your calendar. And another rule I want you guys to remember, if you erase it, you must replace it. So if life happens to you and you can't do whatever on your calendar, guess what? You can't delete it. You can't just hit delete. You need to grab it and stick it somewhere else. It still must get done. You can't just not lead generate because something happened. You must lead generate some other time. Because if not, you're not being consistent. You're not working towards whatever goal it is you said, right? And I just keep using lead gen as an example because that's literally the number one thing we do. But that's the rules of the calendar, guys. So that's it. That's all I've got for you. So that's taking it from mindset to planning it on the paper to sticking it on the calendar. Okay. Connect with me on here. And if you guys were a little late, in a second, I'm going to go back and get you that workbook sheet.
Wow,
Workbook list.
Michelle,
Why did I say that?
thank you so much. You gave us so much to work with. I took tons of notes, and I'm just curious from everyone here, what's your greatest takeaway that you learned today? If you could just share it in the chat real quick as we're wrapping up. Um, there were so many. There were so many.
I know
I
it's
love
so much
the time
information.
blocking, the 12-week year. I love that principle. I got the Audible on that one. Um, and just really loved it. Even Atomic Habits, that's something I have on Audible, which I'm going to listen to it again. Some of these books that I don't know how many of you have Audible right now, but I have a really robust library of books that I keep ordering new books because each month they give you new credits. But
Yeah.
sometimes you got to go back and listen to some of these books again because there's just so much valuable content that sometimes we can't implement it all. So to
Mhm.
go back and reread a book or listen to it again to kind of hear that those principles, the things that fell by the wayside, and say, you know what, that's what I want to work on for 2026. Reignite yourself, get inspired again. So I love, I'm going in the chat here. Lead Gen, Alejandro says systems. Love
You
that
know
habit
something else,
tracker.
when you like the first time you hear a training or read a book, you are that person at that moment. But like a year later, you've grown, you've had different experiences, like you're a different person. And so when you see it again or read the book again or whatever, you're absorbing a different part of it. You ever watched a movie one time and then watched it again and thought, I didn't remember that part? Like it's because
Yes,
you
totally.
saw it, you obviously saw it, but it didn't click with you. And so the books
Mhm.
are the same exact way. Like you got to read them again and again and again.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, and the MREA book. Oh my God, I
Yes,
love that book. It's like the Bible for everything real estate. So
it is.
thank you. And the one thing, oh my God, all the books that you mentioned today were all
I love
really
books.
great books. And I'm going back in the chat here. Well, I'm Didi Munch and Monarch for tracking personal expenses, discipline over motivation. I love that. We've learned a lot of great nuggets. Thank you so much, Michelle,
You're
for
welcome.
pouring
My
into our
pleasure.
community with so much wisdom and practicality. And to all of you, thank you for showing up with heart, intention, and hunger for growth. I know that 2026 is going to be amazing for you all. And I don't want it to end just here. I would love to see that you have all have taken action on the business plan that Michelle has shared with all of us, and kind of share with us in the chat in the Slack channel, how you're coming along. We need to hold each other accountable because we how we come up, how we show up as a group is how we're going to continue growing. So I'd love to continue the conversation there. And let me see, before we wrap up, I want you to know something. Global Alliance has been cooking up something exciting, changes behind the scenes. We've got some major upgrades that are coming soon that are in the works right now. We've got a brand new website, community space that's coming, new masterminds and specialty tracks. So I'm really excited. Can't tell you much more than that. But when the time comes, we are going to start releasing some of that information, hopefully early January. So stay tuned to the Slack channel, paying attention to all the emails that are coming in. I want to thank Franny, who is our Global Alliance partner, and she is behind the scenes working for us, putting together all these calls. She's been through a lot. For those of you who may not know her and you just see her messages coming through, she's out of the Philippines and recently has gone through a typhoon and a lot of disaster and hard time with her internet. And let me tell you, she always shows up. She makes a way, finds a way. She'll let us know in advance that she's having trouble with internet, but I would never know because I never see her work interrupted. So I want to thank Franny here publicly and just for all that she does. Truly appreciate her. And so, anyway, just a little bit of gratitude coming out of Thanksgiving. But
Yay, Franny.
thanks. Thanks everyone for being here. We will see you again next week.
Yes,
Thanks
thank you, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you,
Adios.
Michelle. Thank you, Rebecca. This was amazing. Mind
Oh,
blowing.
thank
You were
you.
like one after the other. It's like there was no pause. Now you
Love
can
it.
take a
No
Love
little
it.
break.
You see why she's the
Incredible.
instructor of the year?
Go, go, go.
That's
Lots of
right.
action. I love action.
That's right.
Congratulations to you. Yes. And Rebecca, Mentor of the Year. That's amazing.
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful news. Looking forward to
Thank you,
2026,
Dee Dee.
y'all.
gonna be amazing.
All
Love
right,
it.
y'all.
Thank
See
you
you
all.
next time.
Thank you.
Adios.